Glenn, Dave's behind the camera. We're the NC Beer guys, and welcome to another episode of the NC Beer Buzz. We had to come a long way today to do our work. We're the whole way over in Durham, in the Durham Bulls Athletic Park, with the great guys from the Bull Durham Beer Company, brand new brewery in-house at the ballpark, offering the absolute freshest craft beer you can get. We're used to getting some great beer from over here in the ballpark, from great local craft breweries, but it can't be any more local now than it's produced right here this season in the ballpark. So we're here with Sebastian Wolfrum, which is the executive brewmaster, Brad Farron, who is the product brand manager, correct, and Tate Little, who's the head brewer. Great, thanks for having us in, guys.
Sure.
We appreciate this.
Thanks for coming.
So we are maybe not even halfway into the season. The first season, you actually put out the first beer when? A few weeks ago? You were not actually up.
Yeah, so we basically managed to get the equipment in place before the doors opened for the first game, and then it took us about three and a half weeks to actually.
So we were in May or so when we got the beer.
Memorial Day was the first
Memorial Day. And we're doing 2 brews.
That's right.
You want to talk about those?
We got a Kolsch and a wheat beer, Lollygagger Kolsch, Water Tower wheat. So our Kolsch is a nice light, crisp beer, and our wheat's not too fruity, nice to drink on a hot summer day.
So if you guys will watch our video, we're doing this backwards. This is you'll see this on Thursday. Monday we showed the video where we drank the beer and told you what you thought about it. So make sure you get the both the products when you're in the ballpark. So how did this all come to be, Sebastian? I mean, we're used, like I said, to having great craft beer in the ballpark already.
Sure.
But it wasn't quite as local as making your own.
Yeah. So so the folks who run the American Tobacco campus are also involved in the Rocky Mountain Brew Mill. You know, they own the site.
And you're also involved,
right,
all tied up with it.
That's how I initially got involved. So there's this whole plan of setting up a brewery incubator. And it's still in the works, but in the meantime, they've gotten so comfortable with beer really,
alcohol, right,
and brewing and how it works, that in the middle of the process, they said, hey, wait a minute, why don't we also add a brewery before the season starts here? So I got going in November last year, ordered all the equipment, started figuring out how this would work on a very small scale in this room. All happens in this room.
I'm going to interrupt you. Small scale, what is the system?
It's a 2.5 barrel SR Huber, you know, very, very high-end kind of fun small system where you can, you know, make basically any beer you want.
Right.
And so, but we're talking 5 kegs a batch. So it's really, really experimental, really, in terms of output. And the goal when this idea was, you know, picked up was always to just make enough beer to add to what's going on in the ballpark.
So
as you mentioned,
we're still going to get the other great local craft beers, the Foothills, the Natties, the Triangle, whoever else has been traditionally having beer.
So we haven't taken over.
We're not displacing any great beer.
That's right. No tabs are taken over in the rest of the ballpark. We essentially added 2 sell stations left and right of the brewery.
Great.
So people can come in, talk to Tate, hang out, see the place.
So is the brewery always open during the games, or kind of open?
Yeah,
open. Sometimes we're brewing during the games, but you can come in and see the process.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
So the whole thing is an
Brad,
education.
the brand manager, are we going to see this beer outside the ballpark?
We are chasing our tails trying to keep up with demand in the ballpark right now.
Right.
But at the end of the season, we're going to get outside.
So will we make beer year-round?
Absolutely.
And since there's not ball games and attendees to drink it up, we may see it at least in Durham, around Durham. Is that the goal, or maybe wider than Durham?
We're trying to, I mean, we're definitely going to be present in the Triangle.
Triangle area.
Absolutely.
Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill at least.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are we going to have more than 2 brands and 2 styles eventually? What are
we're going to have a 3rd one coming up after the All-Star break.
Okay.
Thinking about an unfiltered lager.
Nice.
And then we'll play around a lot more once ball season's done.
Yeah, we're really going to play this on-off season. During the season, when it's hot and baseball's played, we're going to have the typical styles you can drink during a hot game. You know, and then
in
off
the winter
season,
months,
we're just going to.
We can go darker.
We're in training camp. We're just doing whatever we want. You know.
Good.
That's the fun. Yeah.
So our viewers kind of know Sebastian. He's kind of been around the North Carolina beer scene a while. How did you get rooted into this?
So I've been a home brewer for almost 20 years.
Okay.
And I brewed a bunch of beer for a wedding. And one of the guys who was part of this, Michael Goodman, was there and had my Kolsch there and really liked it. So I got a phone call and I was like, I'd love to.
You never know when the right guy's going to drink your brew, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
So pretty amazing.
Good. And you're doing this full time?
Yes, sir.
That was quite a leap, wasn't it?
Yes, it has been.
That's
He
great.
had to quit his real job and everything, like the classic, you know, brewer story.
Well, everybody wants to grow up and be a brewer.
Right.
So that's great.
Yeah.
That's
It's been
good.
wonderful.
Good.
Absolutely.
So what do we hope is going to, what need are we meeting here in the ballpark first that wasn't here before? What is the idea about so local, so fresh, on site?
The real idea is that you offer something that not only can you drink, but you can also see how it's made, and I think that was sort of the goal. Last year, they also decided to take on the food in the ballpark. So they
brought it in-house?
Yeah, so they have now their own basically hospitality group that's part of the Bulls organization, and they redone all the food. There's different hot dogs, different brats, and the whole thing to really.
And that's an effort also to control the quality of what comes in.
Bring up a whole level in terms of what food is served.
The whole experience at the ballpark is now controlled somewhat in-house.
Because every game takes 3 hours, and there's a lot going on. All kinds of off-game activities. Food is very important.
And you're looking at April to August, or roughly, or so.
Yeah, end of August, early September.
September, I guess. Right.
And so I think with them having gotten comfortable around the brewing, it wasn't a leap. They already had earlier in the year made the decision to take on the food side, and
they knew about Rocky Mountain. They knew something about the brewing, and of course the laws and the whole approach to alcohol is changing in the state.
Right.
I mean, it's not too many years ago this wouldn't have happened.
That's right.
In a public venue. Right. But we have seen the state kind of come into its own, into understanding the economic impact, what it brings to the local community, and these guys that you work for are all about bringing back to the community. And this is such a part of it. And it's an educational aspect, because everybody that drinks craft beer even has never been to a brewery. This is a chance to not have to make a trek to a brewery, but you come to the ball game, bring your kid in and show them this is the mechanics of beer making.
Right, absolutely.
It's educational in that sense too.
And it's all in one room in this case, so you can really, without having to run people around, they can just stand here and kind of
we're right up on the causeway. For you guys who don't know, the old big steps, they've redone the entrance a little bit. You come up the big stairway, and it's right there, right in, I mean, it's not hidden down in the basement or in a corner somewhere.
That's right.
Can't miss us.
It's an integral part of what we're doing here.
And so the tour is literally like, we make the sugar water here and we ferment it here.
Yeah, it's not a huge
and 2
place,
weeks
so
later,
they can stand
you
here
got
and do
beer.
the tour.
Right.
That's right.
And I think it's a real appeal. People can really see it in one, and then they have a pint outside and enjoy the rest of the game.
So the challenge is, like we said, number one, making enough beer to meet the demand.
Right.
And you were sharing off camera that in fact, some games you don't have enough to go the whole game, or you kind of, to make sure you have some for every game, you may have to shut down halfway through the game and
run out. Right.
Yeah. But that's kind of the right problem to have, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. Yes. No, absolutely.
Right.
There's nobody's complaining in that sense. But it would be nice to have beer the whole, 'cause
are you going to have the
always like
capacity to make ahead, like for next season? Will you be able to start in December and start cold storing beer to serve?
Yeah, we'll be
so
able
you
to
won't be so on demand. You can get ahead.
Yeah.
We really had the classic startup thing where we not only got late to the table, because it gets just installed takes time.
Things happen, right?
But also then, when we was making our first batches and Tate was really dialing in the recipes, the goal was to hit certain marks and not go after volume. And so we adjusted time over time. So initially they were short.
And every batch don't come out just perfect. Exactly. I mean, for the best of us, there's a little trial and error.
So,
we're all learning as we go.
So we're not brewing full capacity, and so we're catching up now. It seems like finally.
So how do we know what's coming next? How do you decide what you want to brew? Like for the we know we've got to have a couple flagships, some things people can count on when they come in here. How do we know what's next? How do you
sit down
decide?
and talk and just shoot some ideas.
Does the market drive that, or does your flavor palate as a brewer drive that?
I think a little bit of both. When we first came in with these lighter, easy drinking beers, and everyone's saying, "Hey, where's your IPA?" We don't have an IPA.
Right.
There's plenty of IPAs in the park.
Right.
But I mean, the demand for our beer has been really high. So I think we're going to go with another easy drinking beer.
Sure.
To come up with next. So.
And we hope to get to how many flagships? Maybe 4 or 5.
So we got 2 right now, and I think over the in the off season, probably develop some off season style beers.
Right. And some one-offs and some. There'll always be some specialty stuff. That's got to be the fun of it. It's got to.
Right, and I assume we all have our personal favorites, and we'll talk about those and get one made at least.
And see how it hits.
Yeah.
See what hits.
Right.
I mean, a lot of how we started was just sort of focused on what people would want while they're sitting in the hot sun watching a ball game.
We were saying before you joined us, one of the things too is the 2 offers you have now are such great beers, as we call gateway beers.
Yeah.
The people who are used to drinking the more commercial products, the more national brands, and maybe have been scared by the dark stouts and the strong porters or something. But they see these beers and they kind of look like what they're used to drinking. And in fact, they're on the continuum, on the palate, they're not very far, except they're better. They're flavorful, they're more fresh, they're more crisp.
Sure.
So it's a great way to introduce the dads who are kind of national bud drinkers or whatever. They get this, and well, this is my craft beer journey. My craft beer journey can start right here.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
And then to your point, though, the other sort of thing that we do when Tate says we sit down and we throw ideas out there. I mean, one of the things we did just with our flagships was to figure out what people aren't doing right now.
Right, try to fit a place.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, like we're trying to find the niche that is underserved right now. So for us, we found on a hot day, getting a good drinkable low ABV beer was around here is kind of hard.
Right. Good.
Especially on the craft beer tip. Absolutely.
Good. But we wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us in. It's going to be a great adventure, I think. So for Dave and Glenn, NC Beer guys, we're inviting you when next time you're in Durham, particularly when you're in the Durham Bulls Athletic Park, taking in a Bulls game, make sure you come up here, say hello to these guys. One of them will be around. Knock on the glass, find your way in here. At least peek through and see what they're doing. Drink some beer. Until next time, this is Dave and Glenn, NC Beer guys, remind you to drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.